The Dallas Stars got things off on the right foot after the Four Nations tournament with 2 wins in the New York metropolitan area. Joey Erickson of Locked On Stars is here to talk about that, plus what the Stars need to do at the trade deadline. We've got that and a whole lot more coming up on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Stars, Joey Erickson. And Joey, nice start for the Stars after the Four Nations break. They go east to the New York metropolitan area, beat the Devils on Saturday, beat the Islanders on Sunday. How important was a good start after this break for the Stars?
Yeah, I thought it was massive because the Stars hit the break on sort of a high note as well, and they needed to continue to improve on what they really did towards the end of January into the Four Nations break, and that is a really strong power play. Since the turn of the new year, I think the Stars are top 5 in power play percentage, and they were pretty abysmal for the first 2 or 3 months, especially with the amount of weapons they are deploying out there. So they had to get a couple of W's with some different styles. We had some great goaltending against New Jersey, and as we just watched against the Islanders, the Stars employed the hold on for dear life strategy in the third period as they were dealing with some losses to Bichsel after the hits, which I'm sure we'll get into, and then the Matt Dumba penalty. So he was out for 17 minutes, and the Stars were able to hold on and get it done. But the Bichsel injury does loom pretty large for Dallas, who's already pretty thin on the blue line.
Yeah, let's talk about there were 2 controversial calls in the game. One, the hit by Casey Cizikas on Bichsel, which was ruled a match penalty. And then the Islanders did have a goal taken off the board due to goalie interference. Let's start with the Bichsel hit because that one obviously had a bigger impact.
Yeah, if I had to get into the Zebras' minds when electing to go with the match penalty, I think it comes from a place where Bichsel was going to play the puck. Of course, he's retreating, and Cizikas, as he does, and he has done for a decade plus in New York. He's going in on the forecheck, and he's trying to send you 6 rows deep. But I think where the match penalty came into play was Bichsel's trying to play the puck. Cizikas is trying to line up Bichsel. And do I believe he was trying to go shoulder to head? No, but that's where the contact came from. And the NHL has made it apparent, at least in recent years, they want to take that type of hit out of the game. And I think it was fair. If they want to get rid of that type of hit, you're going to have to hand out some of those match penalties. And they elected to go with that, and credit to Dallas. They punched back via Dumba, who came in to stick up for his young partner, which I loved. A little old school hockey there. He came in and he got his money's worth too, as he had to sit for 17 minutes. But the Stars took care of business and made them pay on the scoreboard as well with a couple of power play goals with, I think they had 3 minutes to go on that major penalty. So they had all the time in the world to score, and they made him pay against an Islanders PK that struggled this season, and they get the job done. So I thought it was a fair call. And now I'm more concerned with Bichsel and his health moving forward, because he's only played 18 games with the Stars, and you may think that's not a big blow, but it is. He's given Dallas some physicality, and we got to see it a little bit in the game too. Had a big hit early in the contest, and he's been an integral part of this Stars back end for the last month or so. So it is a big loss moving forward.
Now, we still don't know the extent of the injury and how long, if at all, he'll be out after this, but hopefully it's not a serious situation. You talked earlier about the power play kind of picking things up over the last few weeks. What's been different? What have they been doing better on the power play?
Yeah, I think it's been I think it's been a combination of things. Some of it I feel is just some bounces are going their way a bit more often, but a large part of it has been Thomas Harley and Miro Heiskanen, who went down a few weeks ago, was part of some of the success early in January. But Harley's earned a right to be on the top power play unit for Dallas. And he has a shoot first and score mentality, whereas Miro Heiskanen likes to defer a bit more. But with Harley on the back end sort of dictating play, he gets shots through on net, and the Stars are cleaning up some rebounds. And a big part of their success is what we saw tonight against New York, is where they got a shot on net, Sorokin would make the save, and Dallas was able to hustle and get to some of those battles in the corners and come away with those pucks, and they were able to reload and re-rack to get second chance opportunities. Early in the season, a lot of one and dones. You just get the one shot and it's cleared. They're able to win some of those battles along the wall and get second chance opportunities. And a lot of it has just come down to execution. Robertson's finally starting to, stack some goals together, which is a great sign. What a hat trick he had tonight. I think he did it in a span of 8 minutes and 40 seconds, which was pretty remarkable. So I think it's a combination of things. And I think Harley has a lot to do with it. And there just seem to be spreading the puck around more with some pace. There's not a lot of lethargicness in their game, where I think early on in the season you're just thinking about it too much, and then when you're thinking out there, things can go haywire.
Trade deadline is now less than 2 weeks away. You mentioned some of the injuries on the blue line. What are the Stars looking to accomplish, and what are they willing to give up to get it?
Yeah, I think they would love to add a Brock Nelson type, just to throw his name out there. I don't know if that's necessarily the exact player they are going to be on. I know Nelson's been thrown out there quite a bit, it seems like, for the last few months. But if they can add a depth piece that can score goals for them, they would probably love to do that, sort of like they acquired with Mikael Granlund just a few weeks ago, but before the break. But more importantly now, if Liam Bichsel is going to be out for a significant amount of time, you're already down Miro Heiskanen till maybe the second to last week of the regular season. And who knows even if he's going to be back for that. We may have to wait until game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So they do have some cap space to work with if they want to. They're going to have to add a defenseman. And even without the injuries, I want Dallas to go out and add a defenseman, whether that's, David Savard of Montreal, sort of, a PK veteran type guy, or Rasmus Ristolainen, who's, big and physical, who's playing some heavy minutes and in Philadelphia. Those are the type of pieces Dallas is looking for, because they have the makeup and roster constructed to make a deep run. But then it also begs the question, as you mentioned, what do you want to give up? Right. And I don't think they want to give up Wyatt Johnston, who I'm sure if you go out to get like that blue chip type of player, he's going to have to be included. They're not going to do that. He's going to be untouchable. I don't think they want to give up Maverick Bourque or even Logan Stankoven, who was healthy scratch tonight. I think those players are off limits too. So Jim Nill's going to have to use his gymnastics and have to rely on his back-to-back NHL GMs of the year awards and have to come up with something interesting to go get somebody to make an impact, because Dallas is being rewarded now for their drafting. They're being rewarded by having these young guys that are coming in and adding impact at the NHL level. But if you want to get some good players, you're going to have to maybe give up on some. So I'm curious to how they go about their business.
Do they have a first-round pick to give up this year, next year? What's the situation with that?
They do not have a first-round pick next year, and I don't believe they have. I think they have their first in 20. It would be the 2020, I guess, 7. I think that, but yeah, they don't have a ton of picks either, which makes it even more difficult. So they do not have a first next year, but they do have a 26 and 27 first round pick. And even to make it more challenging, they don't have a second round pick for this upcoming season too. So yeah, they're going to be pretty light. But 2026, they have some room to work for. Maybe they're just going to have to find a team that wants to bite here in 12 days.
And a team that's a little patient as well. So.
Yes. Yeah. They I don't think they're going to be in a huge hurry. And you also have to factor in Stars are missing Seguin right now.
Yeah.
That's another piece. So, and it seems the rumblings are that he's going to be ready for the postseason. I guess the question is, what is he going to look like coming off another surgery on his hip? But he was a point per game player before he went down here with the Stars. Got 20 points in 19 games. So maybe Dallas isn't as concerned about adding, a bottom six or even a top six winger, because you feel like with Seguin potentially coming back at the end of the regular season, that can sort of be a deadline acquisition for you.
All right, Joey, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they can find the podcast and where they can find you on social media?
Absolutely. On X at Joey the Jet 19. Of course, follow Locked On Stars on Twitter as well. And of course, it's on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Gil, always a pleasure to be on with you. Thanks for having me on, and always good to catch up.
Thanks, Joey. Today's episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no snack variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit WonderfulPistachios.com to learn more. That's WonderfulPistachios.com to learn more.